Welcome YouTubers, Law and Smoke, Professor Walker here, and today I'm going to teach you some secrets to pass a police polygraph exam and get hired at a police department. Now, I know what you're thinking right now. Curtis, you're a police officer. Why would you help people learn how to lie to pass a police exam? Well, I didn't say that, did I? I'm not going to teach you to lie. I don't want you to lie on a police polygraph. I want you to tell the truth. But I also want you to understand how it operates and what some of the true purposes behind the polygraph are so that you can go into that test armed, having disclosed the truth to your background investigator, and still pass that test. And why that's important is the polygraph is not a true scientific measure of lying. It's a lot of pseudoscience, which is another name for a load of crap. And because of that, there are going to be false positives, people that are telling the truth, and yet the polygraph operator believes they're lying and they end up being disqualified. So if you understand a little more about how the test works, are prepared, disclose everything that should be disclosed in your background, you are going to do better on that polygraph exam and you're going to pass it, and then now you're going to get yourself employed on a police department and avoid the embarrassment and the stigma of failing a test. The first thing to know is, what is the polygraph really looking for? What they're doing is they're looking for physiological differences, reactions from you telling the truth, telling maybe a little lie, and then telling a big lie. So they establish that with asking you three different types of questions. The first type are what we call irrelevant questions. They're questions that you're not going to react to at all. They're asking you, your name is your name Bob? Yes. Do you live in 1700 John Street? Yes. Then they're going to ask you what are really the control questions, which are questions that they're expecting a little white lie out of, but they're not really what we would call a disqualifying question. Because yes, law enforcement agencies know that it's a human characteristic that there's certain things that you may lie on. So with that little lie, then they're able to judge some of those little reactions that you do. Then they're going to ask you the real relevant questions. And the relevant questions have to do with, are you being truthful in this process? Did you disclose all your drug use to us? Have you ever used cocaine? Have you ever done something else that's on their list of the actual true background questions? They're looking at comparisons between those. They're going to run them in a series where they're going to ask you a series of questions. They're going to repeat that series a couple, 2 or 3 times. They're going to compare the results. And then when they look at that, the polygraph operator is going to make a determination of whether you're truthful or not. The polygraph operator may ask you some questions again to get a second look at those readings. And now, while this is going on, let's say the polygraph operator has a feeling that, hey, maybe you're not being totally truthful on this question. And then they're going to come and ask you, is there anything you want to disclose? Well, this is actually a psychological trap, because if you have nothing to disclose, if you have already told the police department everything in a background check, there should be nothing for you to talk about. And what you need to do is you need to tell the background polygraph operator, look, I have disclosed everything. I am not trying to hide anything, and that's it. You're done. When he tells you that, I think that I'm finding something that's bothering you, you have to respond back. There's nothing bothering me on this test, and deny those charges, and then just say, I just don't know why. I don't know why you're getting that reaction, because there is nothing I'm holding back. And if you were honest and truthful through the whole process of that background form, then this shouldn't be a problem. If you actually are being deceptive, then it probably is a problem. And for people that are actually being deceptive through the background process and on the polygraph, this is where they get you, because then the psychological pressure of the moment, then those folks admit, yes, I made this mistake. Yes, I didn't fully disclose this information. And once you admit that, it's over. Game over. Once you admit to the polygraph operator, your background investigator, I lied at this point in my process. I know I said I never used cocaine. Well, you know what? I'm lying. I actually did use it. Back in my senior year in high school, that one night I tried cocaine. I didn't like it. I never did it again. Now it's 10 years later. I've never touched any drug like that. That may or may not be disqualifying for that agency, but the fact now that you filled out a background form and you put one answer and then you changed your answer under the stress of the polygraph, now you're disqualified. If at the end of the polygraph exam, the polygraph operator insists you're not being truthful, they're going to classify you as deceptive, and you get maybe that letter from the polygraph operator through the backgrounds department that says the operator believed you were being deceptive, and if you were not lying, if you were telling the truth, you disclosed everything properly, what you need to do is you need to write back to that police department and you need to demand a retest with a different operator, because that operator may or not be the most skilled person. And that's the sad truth. Not every polygraph operator is as good as others. Some are very good, but like I said at the beginning, it's not necessarily that the polygraph test itself determines the lying. It's the fact that the operator is so good and the operator knows how to get folks into making admissions about lying. Because that's really what a lot of policing is that interview, the interrogation, and getting that person to admit what they did. So again, if you've been accused of lying on it and you know you didn't, you still have recourse. You can get retested. The polygraph, again, is not the most reliable means of telling out whether or not someone is lying. And if you feel you failed unfairly, you have to fight it. And that's the bottom line. The last piece of advice that I can give you is do not go either here on YouTube or searching the internet and look for tricks to beat the polygraph and lie. So what I've told you today are some things to help you pass the polygraph if you've been truthful. If you are lying on it and you attempt to do some of the things like you're going to see online about like stepping on a thumbtack, and let's say you put a thumbtack in your shoe, step on it, because that causes some pain and discomfort throughout the process, it'll mask the physiological reactions. A lot of polygraph operators are trained to recognize that, and they will think you are trying to beat the polygraph and you'll fail it for that purpose. There are other tricks which you can go read those online yourself, but all of those are a recipe for disaster. You try one of those tricks, you get caught, that's it, you're done. The best course of action is always disclosing all pertinent information in your background and letting the chips fall. Either you meet their standard or you don't meet their standard. Because if you don't meet one agency's standard, it doesn't mean another agency can't hire you. That happens all the time. But if you lie and you're dishonest, that's it, it's all over. So if you have any specific questions about your background process, things that you're worried about, go ahead, ask a question down below if it's something you want the whole world to know about, or you can shoot me an email and I will respond back to you. All right, I want to thank you for watching. This is Law and Smoke, and I'm Professor Walker. So please hit that subscribe button, subscribe to my channel, and catch other videos of mine relating to law enforcement and, of course, pipe smoking.